Ryan, I want to start off by thank you so much for appearing on First Light. I know you've had an incredible swimming career, becoming one of the most decorated Olympic swimmers um, of all time. Can you take us back to kind of the beginning and how you first got into swimming? What kind of fueled your passion for this sport?
So I grew up in a small town up in upstate New York called Bloomfield, New York. It's right outside of Canandaigua Lakes, and I grew up swimming in Rochester, which if you haven't been there, don't because it is freezing cold. But I grew up basically around the pool deck. Both my parents were swim coaches at the time. My dad coached Monroe Community College, and my mom was coaching the club team. So I was basically always around the pool deck. Where they have like the son goes to like follow the dad to work day and things like that. So I remember when I was coming in from the snow, I had my snowsuit on. I was coming in inside and on the pool deck, and I was walking towards by the deep end, and I tripped and fell. And I fell in the deep end, and my dad saw me. He frantically ran over. He was like, "Oh my God, oh my God." He pulls me out of the water. I was crying, and he turned around to grab a towel. And as soon as he turned around and grabbed the towel, he heard this splash, and he turned around, and I jumped back in. And luckily, like the suit like held me up, like I was floating, and I was just giggling. I was laughing in the water. And I think that's when my love and my passion for the water started at the age of 3. So like my dad was like, "Hey, you're laughing, stay in there." And then I started swimming. I did a lot of other sports, basketball, baseball, lacrosse, surfing, skateboarding. I mean, you name it, I was doing it. And then we moved to Daytona. No, then it was around 1992 Olympic Games. I was watching it on my TV. I was watching a 100-meter butterflyer from the U.S., Pablo Morales, and I saw him win gold, and on my TV, and I was like, just not how that he won gold, it's how he did it. Like he congratulated the other swimmers, like really good sportsmanship. He walked around the pool deck, like signing autographs, taking pictures with like the rest of the fans in the stands, and I was like, dude, I want to be just like that guy. And I think that's when my aspirations for becoming an Olympian started at the age of 8. And then our family moved to Daytona Beach, Florida, which is way better than the freezing cold. We moved when I was 11, and in upstate New York, your swimming sucks, basically. So I was on top of my game. And then I moved to Florida, which is one of the hardest states, has the most swimmers, very competitive. So I went from the top to the very, very bottom. And I was like, swimming sucks. I hate swimming. I'm getting lapped by a bunch of girls and swimming. Like, this stinks. Get me out of here. So I picked up surfing, skateboarding, and started playing more basketball. But there's just something that always kept me going back to the pool. Like, if my dog just died, I could have the worst day. And as soon as I step foot in that water, everything just disappears. Like, it's like my happy place. It's my home. And I just stuck with swimming.
Well,
And then after that, my whole swimming career kind of kept going up and up.
let's talk about that because swimming is. I know there's some team elements and team aspects, and there's different things, but really, I got into Ironmans and to triathlons, and one part of swimming. So I've spent a lot of time in a pool, and you're alone a lot, and you're in a lane by yourself, and it really relies on you, and you're looking out this black line for hours. So uh, talk to us about that and really the mental discipline, the strength that goes into it, and then also this consistency to show up every day to become an Olympian swimmer.
So yes, you are staring at a black line a lot. um, but I never got bored of it. I never got bored of swimming. I made swimming fun. Um, and like I was a big competitor, so I would like it got to the point where I would leave 5 seconds back from everyone, like in a set, and I'd try to play catch up. Like that's how I was training my body, training my mind. And I started doing things like, if I was like, you know what, if everyone is training at this level, how can I reach my goals? How can I become better than everyone else? If everyone's training right here, what do I have to do to become up here? So I started doing things outside the box. I started when everyone's going home, like after practice, they were going to go get changed, go get a shower, or go do homework. I was still in the pool for about another 15, 30 minutes by myself. No coaches around, just me in the water, working on my craft, I was going in the deep end, putting on a 25-pound weight belt on and kicking, flutter kick in the middle of the diving well by myself. Or I was doing extra flip turns, extra starts, just making sure that I was getting an extra edge on everyone, because I wanted that. And I didn't want to be the one person that said, well, what if I did that extra more? So I never wanted to be that person. So I never let that happen. So I did the extra what if. And I just kept on doing it and grinding and grinding. And I think what helped me the best was, no matter what, no matter where I was at the end of the season. So in swimming seasons, we train all year, and then in August is your championship swim meet. Or July, August is your championship swim meet, whether it's called the Olympics, World Championships, or whatever. It didn't matter if I broke 5 world records, got 10 gold medals. It didn't matter, because right after that swim meet was done, I immediately was like, you know what? I didn't win anything. I didn't do anything. I'm back at the very bottom of the barrel, and I have to crawl my way up every single day, day in, day out, to get up to the top again for the next season. And I think that's what I tricked my mind in that, because I was always hungry. I was always had that lion mentality. And that's what kept me hungry. Like when they're like, people say like, oh, you were on the top of the game. Like, how'd you stay on the top? I was like, I wasn't on the top, I don't think. Like, because in my mind, I'm tricking myself, being like, I'm at the bottom. So every day that I wake up, I have a purpose. Anyone can put on a swimsuit and go swim up and down the up and down a pool. But when you put on a swimsuit and you're swimming, and now you're doing it with a purpose, now you're fucking doing something. Excuse my French. Now you're doing something different. All right. Now you're trying to change. Now you're trying to become something better than what you were. And I think that's what really drove me to become one of the greatest swimmers.
So, with anything you're doing in life, there's always a kind of a technical aspect, and with swimming, I've learned it's really about technique. It's good to have the endurance and the strength, but really there's a technique. So talk about kind of developing that technique and how that really translates to everything that we're doing in life.
So right now, so when I was younger, I was swimming, and my dad was a phenomenal coach, probably one of the best 5 in the world in my eyes. And he would always say, swim pretty, swim pretty, swim pretty, no matter what. So a lot of our growing up years was all about technique. It wasn't about yardage. It wasn't like I was like 13, 14. They weren't pounding me with yardage. They were making sure I had perfect technique. So then when I did get to University of Florida as a freshman, I then implemented my strength training. I started doing more endurance, a lot more endurance, a lot more endurance, because our coach was old school and just wanted to beat the shit out of us. But I had that technique like implanted in me. So like no matter what, I've always had flawless technique. Um, and I learned it from a little kid, and it stuck with me. Um, I'm one of those in the pool, and I'm not talking about out of the pool. In the pool, when a coach is saying to do something, I immediately change it, and I don't change it for that day. I change it for the rest of my swimming career. So they've only had to tell me once or twice to do something, because and then I changed it. Outside of the pool is a way different story, because I was a damn knucklehead, as we all know. But there's like kind of like a 3 rules that I kind of lived by throughout my swimming career that I developed on my own. That like not only will helps you as an athlete, but helps other people like in their day-to-day job. Like the number one thing is listen to your coach, whoever that may be, your mentor. Listen to your coach because they've been probably doing it longer than you've been alive. Like they want you to succeed because if you succeed, they succeed. So they want you to become great. They're there to help you. So you actually have to listen to them. What I mean by that, like when my coach told me to do something, like I changed it. I did it. I changed it and I like actually took it in and I made that change so it never happened again. So listen to your coach. The second one is make sure you set short-term and long-term goals. So every day when I went to swim practice, I had a short-term goal, whether it was making sure I did 5 dolphin kicks off every wall, or making sure I finished really hard into each set, like mimicking like what I would do in a race, things like that. And then sometimes those small goals weren't even just about me. Sometimes I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make someone else better today. So like if some guy just broke up with his girlfriend, he's having a bad day, I would purposely go in his like near his lane and I would cheer him up and get his ass going. Because it's not just about you, it's about the team. Because once the team is having fun, having a good dynamic, like the energy, the performance level is going to go skyrocketing and it's only going to help everyone. So that's your short term goal. And then the long term goal, obviously, when I was 8 years old, I wanted to go to the Olympics and get an individual gold medal and break a world record at the same time. So I set mine to the highest of the highest. So that means every day I woke up, every day I put on a swimsuit, I had a purpose. I was doing something, I had a purpose. I was trying to achieve something great. And I think that's where a lot of people fall. They wake up and they're like, oh, just another day. No, you have to attack that day. And then the last one, the most important rule is to have fun. I mean, that's what life is all about. And for me, that's what swimming was about. It was just having fun. I was the oldest person in 2021 Olympic trials. I was 37. I was like the oldest by like freaking like almost 10 years. Like when I won my first gold, they were still in diapers. I was like, damn. But I was still having fun. And that's what I want everyone to know is like life is too short. And you just have to have fun and enjoy it. Because once you have fun and enjoy what you're doing, your performance level, your attitude is just going to go skyrocketing. And you're just going to take off.
Now let's talk about the pressures to compete at such a high level, whether it's professional swimming and in the Olympics, whether it's in business. Um, when you reach that kind of pinnacle of your career and the pressures that come along with it, it's not, we don't always deal with it healthy, but what were some of the healthy ways that you dealt with the pressures of being the best, being that world record holder, being that gold medal winner, competing against the best? So let's talk a little bit about kind of dealing with and handling that pressure.
Well, I'm probably not the best person to talk about this. I never had pressure. Um, and the reason why I go back to like no matter what I ended up at the season, like I had the world record, I was the Olympic gold medalist. That right after that swimming's done, in my mind, I'm like, I don't have a world record. I don't have Olympic gold medal because now I am the hunter. I'm not being hunted. So in my mind, I'm tricking myself, being like, you know what? They're better than me out there. Like I have to grind. I have to beat my body up. I have to go to battle every day, day in and day out to get my ass back up to the top. And that is what I did throughout my 18-year career. No, actually, shoot, a lot longer than that. 28 years I did of that. And that's what I trained myself. And I think once you get complacent and once you feel like, oh, yes, you're the top, that is when you're going to start losing. That is when you're going to start taking shortcuts. That's when you're going to start failing. And luckily, I swam in the Michael Phelps era because I got second a lot. A lot. I've gotten pissed off a lot because I hate to lose, but it only made me hungry. And when I did get up to the top, right after that swim meet, I didn't win anything. I was back at the bottom. I had to grind every day. And I think that was like my little cheat code that I had to help me perform at my best.
Yeah, one thing that a couple things I want to talk to you about. One in life, wherever you're at, again, whether it's athletics or anything else, you're always kind of the sum of your best, the five people you surround yourself with. So, you were swimming with, one of the best, if not the best ever to
The
do it.
greatest Olympian ever. Yes.
So talk about that and surrounding yourself with that kind of competition and getting to swim with someone like Michael Phelps and what that did for you personally.
It's it was amazing. Like he can see, like if you get Michael Phelps on the phone, like he'll tell you the same thing. He wouldn't be the same person if it wasn't for me, and I wouldn't be the same athlete if it wasn't for him. Because in our minds, we were light years ahead of everyone. Like if you watch all our races when we competed, it was me and Phelps, and then like 5, 10 seconds back was everyone else, the rest of the field in the world. So we are so far ahead of everyone that we pushed each other every day. And he's like, Ryan, you're the hardest person to beat. I was like, I will never back down. And Michael Phelps is the exact same way. Like he will never back down, no matter what it is. He will fight you to the very end, and you're gonna have to bleed for it. And that's what brought the best out of us. And we did this for years straight, from like 2004 to 2016.
Where does that mentality come from for you?
It was just the hungerness, the my lion mentality. It's the way. It's what it goes back to my second rule on having a long term goal, and I wasn't gonna let anything get in the way of that. Like my very first world record was in 2007. It was the 200-meter backstroke, and it was in Australia. And about 6 weeks before that, I fractured my foot skateboarding. So I was in a boot. I couldn't really swim. I was just pulling. The boot comes off about a couple days before we left for Australia. What do you do when you get to a swim meet? You warm up. I warmed up. I jumped in the bottom of the pool. I hit the bottom of the pool. I refractured my foot. I swam that world championships with a fractured foot, and I broke a world record and beat the Olympic champion, and took over as the backstroke king in 2007, and it was all done with a fractured foot. And like I said, it doesn't matter. Inside of everyone, there is always something left, no matter what. You could be on your last breath. No, there's something left still inside you. You just have to dig down deep and find it. And once you find it, oh, it's it's like a big old shining light, because once you find it once, you can find it again and again and again, and then it becomes easier. And then we have this saying in swimming, like you're going to the well, meaning like you're dead, you can't, you have nothing left, you're so fatigued, but you find something left inside of you. And every person in this entire world has that. They're just afraid to feel that pain. But once you feel it, you're like, man, I like this pain. Let's go. Let's keep going. And yeah, that was my mentality, and that's how I was able to push myself.
Let's talk about the training that goes involved. A buddy of mine sent me kind of this graph, right, where what people see is the result. That little at the very top, they see this result. They see, oh, Ryan Lochte's got these gold medals, and look at all these the world records. Look at everything he's done. But what they don't see is the other 98% of all the hard work that you had to do, the training that you did to get there. So talk about all that hard work that you have to put into it. Again, it goes in anything that you're doing, whether it's running a business, whether it's performing at a high level in anything that you're doing. A lot of time goes in it by yourself. I'm seeing that as, training for, I did a half Ironman, get ready to do a full, ran marathons now. And in doing that, there's so much time spent by yourself, alone, out there, putting the work and time in. So talk about that mental toughness of those hours and hours that you put in that nobody was watching, nobody saw. It wasn't on TV. It wasn't in a competition or in a race. It was
Mhm.
just you out there doing it on your own.
So it goes with everything. Like doctors, there's plenty of other doctors. There's plenty of other lawyers. There's plenty of other real estate agents. They're all doing the exact same thing. But how can you have to think down, like, how can I be better than them? By doing the exact same thing that we're all doing? No, you won't. You'll never pass anyone. You'll never be the best until you start doing things outside the box, until you start doing extra things. So in my swimming career, that's what I was doing. After swim practice, I would stay later, 30 minutes, about 3 times a week. I would stay later by myself, working on my craft, doing extra things. I picked up an extra weightlifting session on Sundays when we all had Sundays off. I would go and start doing strong man lifting. Like I would have kegs. I'd lift kegs over my head, like big like tractor tires. And I was doing all these things because I wanted to become the best. And if you want to become the best, and if you want to become a better of yourself, you have to be able to improve yourself every day. And if you don't, then what's the point? You're going to be stuck in a stall point. Like you're just going to be stuck there. Just an average Joe. Who wants that? I sure as hell didn't. So I made myself not become average Joe. I made myself become better than that. And out of all my triumphs, I learned the most from all my failures. And in life, and if you guys know, you guys read about it or whatever. I've had a lot of failures, um, but I don't have any regrets of it because it's not how I got knocked down; it's how I got up and kept moving, and that is what shaped me who I am today. And I couldn't be more happier of who I am right now because I'm going. I'm still going. I'm still moving forward, and there's nothing stopping me to do that.
And
I'm
I,
not
you know, I,
having what.
as I say, I don't want to go into all of it, but what for me, this last year and a half has been amazing transformation for me, and I shared a little bit of my journey and story with you. I've shared it here on the podcast and elsewhere. I was not in a good place in life, and I thought I
Mhm.
was living life to the fullest, but I realized I wasn't. Obviously for me, substance abuse was a big problem. I was an everyday drinker and haven't had a drink in almost 18 months now, which has been amazing. So, you know,
That's awesome.
talk about the fact when, you do kind of find the bottom or when you kind of had those failures, what is it that brought you back up? What did you do? And how did your training, everything that you your discipline, everything kind of you learned in life kind of help build you back up?
I think it really starts with yourself. I've surrounded myself with the one thing you have to surround yourself with positivity, especially with the world and everything that's going on. It's so damn negative. Like, so group, my circle got so small because I mean, I had a big heart. I was like, everyone loves me. I love everyone. We're all here, happy family. No, that's not the case. And when my failures failed, like when I was at the bottom of this black hole trying to get out, it was really up to me first because, like, even my wife, she's like, Ryan, you got to do this, you got to do that. I was like, look, lady, I understand, but it's not up to you. It's up to me. Like, I'm the one that's going to have to start. You can prepare me, but like, I'm going to have to dive off those blocks and swim this race, not you. So it's really up to you. But then once you dive in, like I'm doing all this in swimming terms. So once I dive in and swim the race, now I can turn to the people that have tried to help me, the people that are like in my corner, that are being positive role models. that are motivating me day in and day out. And then that's when you turn to like your close friends, your close family that are there to help you. But I hear you, man. When you're in a dark place, it feels like you're all alone. Um, when I was in 2021, I didn't make the Olympic team. I fell short and I was heartbroken. I felt like I let the entire world down, because I was trying to be like, man, second chances do happen. And everyone was saying like, oh, do it for the old guys, like do it for the old people. Yeah, you got this. And when I failed, I felt like I left everyone down, and it destroyed me inside. First time in my life where I was depressed. Like I couldn't even get out of bed. I couldn't even walk down to the street to get the mail. Like I was just that depressed, and it affected me as a husband. It affected me as a father because I was just not motivated at all, and it was bad. It was getting to the point where I was just having bad thoughts, like just I was just not a good person to be around. But then I don't know what happened, but I got out of it. I'm climbing out of it. I crawled. Actually, I didn't crawl out of it. I jumped the fuck out of the hole, and I hit the ground running. And now I'm running forward, and this projection that I'm going, I'm on cloud nine.
So let's talk about post swimming. I know you have three kids, like me. So your house is always busy. So let's talk about the post swimming career and where you're at, and kind of what you're focused on, and what you're doing in life.
So right now I'm basically trying to build an empire that I could pass down to my kids. I developed this legendary swim academy, um, where I go around the world teaching kids how to swim, teaching the things that I've developed. My story is so unique that like I'm trying to go do like a bunch of motivational speaking to companies. I just did one down south for a real estate company, and the feedback was like, "Can I follow you? Like, do you have more tours, speaking tours?" I'm like, "What, me?" They're like, "Your story is so unique. Like, it touched me, and like, I want to like just keep following you." I'm like, "Sure, yeah." So like, my story is good, and I know it could help others. So anything I do right now is to help other people. Um, so I have that swim clinic tour. After watching Paris Olympics, I got kind of pissed off a little because I thought the U.S. men's team could have done it better. But that's me being biased. And I was like, you know what? I might just get back in the water and start training again. The reason why I fell short in 2021 is because I was training for everyone else. I wanted to do better for my family. I wanted to do better for the kid in the stand that says, "Oh, you're my hero." Like I wanted to do it for everyone but myself. So this time around, if I do it, like it's for me. Um, and I've been thinking about it a lot. And I'm just waiting for my leg to be 100% better for my car accident. Once it is, I might be getting back in the water and training for 2028. That's a if. I'm more leaning to 65%, 35% right now. But that's what I've been thinking about. And other than that, like I want to write a book, just of all like the failures and triumphs that I've had to overcome. And I'm coming out next year in the summer. I'm coming out with a new sunscreen called Block Tea. It's a catchy name. I know. I know. Block Tea. It's going to be all natural ingredients. My dad had skin cancer, so and me being in Florida, you know as well, you're surrounded by freaking sun nonstop. So and I swim outside every day. I'm outside all the time. So skin protection is very dear to my heart. So I'm coming out with a new sunscreen that will be coming out next summer.
Let's talk about your role as a now not trained full time, but your a role as a father. Tell us how that's changed your life and what that's done for you.
Dude, screw gold medals, screw world records, man. I was put on this earth not to be a swimmer. I was put on this earth to be a husband and a dad. Like, there's no better feeling than holding your kid. I mean, it's hard work, obviously, but man, when they giggle or when they do something so cute, like it just warm. Like I cry all the time. It's just it's it's everything. It puts life in perspective, and it shows you what, like, that's why I go back to, like, that's when I do these talks, because there's so much going on about mental health issues now with athletes. And I'm like, because you think this is your world, this is your, like, this is that, if you don't win, you're gonna die. Like, no, no. And I realized this once I started having kids. I was like, dude, it's a sport that you love to do. Get over it. That's it. Life moves on. There's so much more to life than just doing what you do. And that's another thing that I try to implement on, like, when I do these swim clinics with these kids, is like, don't worry. Like, there's more to life. And now that I have kids, it's like I realize that. I'm like, I'll do anything for my kids.
Are you putting your kids into the pool yet and teaching them how to swim?
See, I'm a guppy when it comes to my kids. So, like, especially my daughters, if my son starts crying, I'm like, hey, stop that. Be a man. But if the girls start crying, I'm like, oh, come here, baby. Hey, it's okay. You got this. Yeah. What do you want? You want an ice cream? I'll get you an ice cream. Okay. So I'm a real guppy. My son, my oldest son, he's 7, phenomenal swimmer, like phenomenal. He watched. We were watching something on YouTube, one of my races, and he was like, "Oh, Daddy, I can do butterfly." I'm like, "No, you can't." He's like, "Yes, I can." I'm like, "All right, let's go see." So we went to the pool. He swam perfect butterfly, like perfect, without me even telling him what to do. He swam it, and I was like, "Oh crap, we have a swimmer on our hands." So I took him to swim practice. After a week, he was like, "Dad, I don't like swimming. I'm done." I'm like, "All right." He's like, "I just want to play." I was like, "Dude, you're 7 years old. Go freaking play. You'll find out what you want to do in life later. Like, you don't have to be the best right now. Like, just have fun." So he's a phenomenal swimmer. My other daughter, she's 5. She can swim, but she has to be right by the wall. Like, within 1 foot, she has to be by the wall. She'll swim, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I did it!" And then my other 1-year old, she loves the water, but she has no idea. No.
Well, let's wrap it up with this, and we'll use it with your kids. So, what's the lesson that you want to leave or give to your kids? What's the one thing that you want them to know and learn from what you've learned in life, from reaching the top and having some, like you said, having some failures that you've learned from? So, what's the lesson that you would leave, and what's the thing that you would want listeners who have listened to this podcast today to learn from you?
I think the biggest thing that I learned, that I want my kids to learn, and everyone else, is like what I said. Like, in life, no matter what, no matter who you are going to get knocked down at some point in your life. No way about it. Like, that's just how it is. It's going to happen to you. But it's not how you got knocked down. It's how you get up and how you get moving and how you keep moving forward. And if you never dwell on the past, you learn from the past. And that's what I've learned so much, is like, I've never dwelled on it. I learned from it, and I made myself better every day. And if you do that, if you don't dwell on it and you learn from it, and you try to better yourself so that doesn't happen again, and you try to make yourself a better person every day, shit, you're going to be on top of the world.
Ryan, again, I can't thank you enough for your time today to be here to share your story. There was some very good lessons in it to be learned, and I really appreciate your time.
Yes, of course.